Hello folks, Scott here, coming to you today with a Bible prophecy update. Don't give out very many of these very often, and so read an article yesterday that I thought was very interesting, and I keep up, with what's going on in the world and how it relates to Bible prophecy, and so wanted to share this stuff with you. Because I believe, things are getting close. And yesterday there was an article that came out where Vladimir Putin made a statement, basically, and I told you so, to the European Union because of the tariffs that our president has levied against the European countries with regards to steel and aluminum. So he basically told them, I warned you, several years ago that this was going to take place. You guys have had it good for a long time, and you better do something now or you're going to reap the consequences later, and because the United States is going to come after you. And here they are, and now you have tariffs, so you made your breakfast, sit down and enjoy it. So it really, resonated with me because of the relationship with the European Union and the United States has slowly become more and more sour, going back to the Obama administration and his backing off of pulling troops out of the Middle East and not doing as much as we were doing before, because we were taking most of the responsibility back when Bush administration was in office. And now we're putting tariffs against the European Union countries, and it's going to hurt them economically because our president thinks that we've been treated unfairly, which we have, but the relationship is being soured. Well, how does this relate to Bible prophecy? Well, those of us who have studied the Bible and are really into end-time prophecies, we believe that the United States, even though it's not mentioned specifically in the Bible, it's related to as Babylon the Great harlot, the prostitute that sits on the back of the beast. You have the image in the book of Revelations where it describes a seven-headed beast and a prostitute that sits on its back. And eventually, the beast is going to throw the prostitute off its back and burn her with fire. So you have to understand, through reading end times prophecies, those of you who know me know that I've written a book called Satan, Antichrist, False Prophet, Mystery Babylon, and You. And so I lay all this out in there with a lot of detail. But the description of Babylon the Great, the harlot, the prostitute that sits on the back of the beast, it matches the United States exactly through the Old Testament and the New Testament. So you have the book of Jeremiah talks about the destruction, the book of Revelations talks about the destruction, and so what the description is the Babylon the Great is surrounded by water. The United States is surrounded by water. We have the Arctic Ocean to the north, we have the Gulf of Mexico, we have the Atlantic, and we have the Pacific. Says that nations all over the world depend on her for trade and because of the spices and the agriculture. So all the descriptions that are given about it match the United States perfectly. So the beast, again, most of us in the Bible prophecy community believe that the European Union is where the Antichrist is going to come from. Okay, so this is the beast. And again, I give a lot of detail in my book, understanding why we believe the European Union is the beast, the revived Roman Empire. And so why does the beast toss her off his back? Well, if those of you who have had the pleasure of riding a horse or any type of beast of burden, you know that it's a kind of a partnership where you're on the beast and you have a bit in its mouth and it doesn't necessarily like it, so when you pull left, it goes left. You pull right, it goes right. But if that beast wants you off its back, it's going to get you off its back. So it's a temporary control. That's why I say it's a partnership. So the prostitute sitting on the back of the beast implies a type of control. And we do have a type of control over the European Union because of how they depend on us for our agriculture, for our steel, for our trade. So, why does it toss us off? Well, again, you have that relationship that's currently being soured, and God says that He is going to cause this to happen because He's going to judge the prostitute. Babylon the Great says in Jeremiah, book of Jeremiah, that she will be responsible for Israel's downfall, for the turmoils in Israel. And why is this? Well, right now, if you go to Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, specifically 38, you have Gog and Magog, who are going to come against Israel and attack Israel. Gog from the north, Magog from the south. Well, who is Gog? Well, again, we believe Gog is Russia. If you took a straight line from Jerusalem straight due north, you hit Moscow. It's almost exactly a straight line. And then to the south, you have Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and then a little bit to the east, you have Jordan, Iraq, Iran. And so these nations will come and attack Israel, and God will cause a great earthquake and destroy their armies in the mountains surrounding Israel. Well, first question, why would Russia come down and attack Israel? What's the purpose? Well, we've already seen this prophecy partially being fulfilled because Russia is already at Israel's border. They're in Syria. So, Russia has been brought down from the north to Israel's border. Why are they there? Well, Russia, most people would say, oh, he's there because he's defending his ally, the dictator in Syria. Not true. He's there, Vladimir Putin is there, because Russia's economy depends on it. You have oil, and oil it dictates everything. Okay, it's black gold. It's what the world runs on. And so Russia has pipelines that come through Syria feeding into Russia. And so if the Syrian dictator were to get overthrown, it would open the door for the Western world to put someone in place that would basically side with the Western world. Which, if you really wanted to think about it, Russia would have to worry about that, because if Russia ever did something, then that leader working with the Western world could choke the oil from Russia through those pipelines. Vladimir Putin can't have that. So what it says is that God takes a ring in Gog's nose and leads him down like a bull into Israel. So what does that imply? Again, you have symbolism again. Well, those of you who have had any kind of workings with beast of burden know that if you put a ring in the nose of a cow, a bull, and you lead them around with it, they don't like it. So they go where you pull the rope, because they don't like the way it feels when you pull that ring that's locked in their nose. So Russia doesn't want to come down. They did not want to be there. They have to be there. They've been led down like a ring in the nose of a bull, and they've been led down to Syria. And they're right there at the border of Israel. So we've already seen part of a Bible prophecy fulfilled. Now what we need is a reason for the attack. And again, what we're waiting for is some kind of major event that's going to happen, something that Israel is going to do that will ignite the Muslim community, the Arab world, to launch a major offensive into Israel. And because Russia is dependent on the oil from Iran and Syria, they are going to get pulled into it. The trump card's going to be pulled, and they're going to tell Russia, you're going to help, or we're going to choke the oil out of you. And Russia, because they sell their arms to those same countries, they don't want to sour their relationship with them. And Israel's nothing to Russia. They're going to join the attack, and then God will destroy all the armies and the mountains surrounding them. This is when the Bible community believes that the rapture will happen, is when Ezekiel's chapters 38 and 39 take place. So, going back to the harlot and the beast. So, why would the beast throw the harlot off its back and burn her with fire? Okay, so it says God's going to cause the beast to do this as a judgment against Babylon. So here you have Ezekiel's chapter 38 happening. Does the United States step in and defend Israel? They don't. So that's sin number one. So then you have halfway through the tribulation period where you have the king of the north, which is the beast. He's going to come down and attack the king of the south, the Arabic countries. Why does he do this? Again, we go back to economics. The Antichrist needs the oil. He can't depend on the United States because our relationship has been soured. And so he can't depend on us for oil. So he's got to take it. Well, why does he have to do this? Why can't he just buy it? Well, that's because when Ezekiel's chapter 38 and 39 happen, rapture happens, the world's going to be in turmoil, it's going to be some crazy stuff going on. So the Muslims are not going to want to follow after the Antichrist because he's going to have his one world religion. I believe it's going to be the Catholic Church. It'll be a pope who will be the false prophet working the miracles on behalf of the beast. And so the Muslim community, who are the cousins of the Jews, they're not going to follow after the Antichrist. They're going to recognize for what it is. So they're going to rebel, and he's got to go and take the oil. Well, when he launches this attack, the king of the north, so you have Daniel chapter 11, verse 30, says that ships from the western coastlands will come and oppose the king of the north. And when this happens, well, who are the ships from the western coastlands? Well, that's the United States. So if you take and you look at Israel and you look at the European Union, okay, when we went in and you look at the king of the south, okay, let's just look at that. You have the Arabic countries, and what major nation is west of Israel? Okay, so you have the Mediterranean. It closes off there at Spain and Africa, and so it's all closed off. But west of that, there is no nation. Spain's part of the European Union. There's no major nation that's going to come against the European Union west of Israel other than us, the United States. So some Bible interpretation says ships from Kittim, K-I-T-T-I-M, ships from Cyprus, but these are just these are kind of these are names, but the interpretation of Kittim is Hebrew, and it goes back to the descendants of Noah, okay, the three sons, and the one particular son that Kittim comes from is the son of Noah that took to the seas, okay. So the NIV says ships from the western coastlands. The New Living Translation says ships from the western coastlands because there's not a specific place that is an interpretation that gives us a specific place. So that's why these Bible translations chose to use an interpretation saying ships from the western coastlands, because that's the Hebrew is Kittim and there is no specific place for Kittim. So we oppose the European Union, the King of the North, because we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow the Antichrist to go and take over the oil, because we already know his motives. We've seen the rapture happen. Those who are left in the United States, left behind, they're going to recognize, they're going to realize there's probably going to be a revival, a Christian revival like you've never seen. And those who are left behind, they're going to be, Christians, more than likely. They're going to become Christians, and they are going to, there's probably going to be a huge draft for the lack of people that'll be here, and because the military is going to have to be built up. So we're going to recognize who the European Union is. We can't allow that to happen. So we're going to send our ships, oppose the King of the North. He'll get frustrated, turn around and vent his fury on the Holy Covenant in Jerusalem. So that's sin number 2. So that's twice that the United States does not defend Israel. First time, God had to step in, Ezekiel chapter 38. Second time, halfway through the tribulation period. So God causes destruction upon and judges the United States, the harlot, the prostitute, sitting on the back of the beast. So the beast says, okay, had enough. So the beast gets its power from the 10 kings. The Bible says 10 kings will give their power to the beast, and they will attack from the north. And the Bible says that, going back to Jeremiah, it says that the judgments will reach as high as the cloud. Babylon's judgment will reach as high as the clouds. Well, what does that imply? We go back to symbolism again. What possible destruction could be as high as the clouds? Well, it's a nuclear bomb. Anytime you've seen a nuclear bomb explosion on television, it's a big mushroom cloud going up, reaching as high as the clouds. So the Bible is, tells us the judgment reaches as high as the clouds. That's symbolism for a nuclear attack. Well, Scott, how can you attack the United States with nuclear bombs and then not have the United States retaliate with nuclear bombs? And you have World War III and the end of the world. Well, we have been hearing a lot within the last year to 2 years about how vulnerable we are to an EMP, which is an electrical magnetic pulse, whether it be from the sun or someone exploding a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere, which takes out the electrical grid. It literally will fry all the transformers, depending upon where it explodes. So, if someone explodes a nuclear bomb in our atmosphere, takes out our electrical grid, we don't really know how that's going to affect our nuclear capabilities for our launching of our missiles. But you also have cyber attacks, and they could be they could have cyber attacks that dismantle our missiles as well, disarm our missiles. So, but it's going to happen. All right. So we have the destruction of the United States through judgment from God. The beast tosses us off its back because we oppose his attack against the Arabic countries. And our judgment is because of our turning our backs on Israel. So right now, guys, what we're seeing as far as Bible prophecy being fulfilled is the relationship with the European Union being soured. It's going to get worse. Not going to get any better. I don't see this relationship and what's going on with our current president and the relationship getting any better. Okay, it started with Obama. It's carrying on with our current president, and it's just going to continue to get worse. We had Brexit. Brexit happened under the Obama administration, and then President Trump, he's out there touting, go Britain, separate from European Union, and so the European Union wasn't happy about that, and so the relationship is being soured, and it's going to get worse. So that's something that we can say is a type of Bible prophecy being fulfilled, because our relationship, the prostitute's relationship with the beast that she's currently riding, is getting soured. But the big one is Russia being in Syria, coming down from the north and setting up bases there and defending Syria. because it needs to be there. And it doesn't, believe me, Vladimir Putin wouldn't be there if it wasn't something that he was protecting. And it's not just his assets, it's the country's economy because of the oil pipelines coming from Syria feeding oil into Russia. So we've seen Gog with the ring put in its nose, brought down from the north. And what we're waiting on now, we're waiting on the big event that's going to cause the Muslim world to come against and attack Israel. And folks, it could happen anytime. And if those of us in the Bible community, Bible prophecy community are right, it's when the rapture is going to happen. And you want to be ready. You don't want your family members, you don't want anybody to get left behind. So I'm encouraging everyone to step it up, get the word out about Christ, and encourage those who are, who are lost and got away from the church to get back and explain the Bible prophecies to them, what's going on and how they're being fulfilled, and tell somebody about Christ that doesn't know Christ. And so that's it, folks. I hope this was helpful, and I don't do very many of these very often, but I hope this is giving you something to think about and pray about, and keep an eye out there and keep looking, because all the signs are there. Take care, folks, and have a blessed day.